I'll leave you in absolutely no doubt by the end of this video how you can make the PAP treat you like human beings and why it's so important that you support an opposition like the SDP in this coming general elections. I'll do this by contrasting the developments that took place after GE 2011 versus those after GE 2015. And when the PAP's vote share came down to 60% in the 2011 elections and they lost 6 seats, unimpressive ministers like Raymond Lim, who could not rectify the problems with the MRT system, Wong Kan Seng, who couldn't defend the security lapse that allowed suspected terrorist Mas Selamat to escape, and Mao Baotan, who made a complete mess of the HDB flat supply, all Kwai stepped down from the cabinet. 2. Mr. Goh Chok Tong also resigned from the cabinet, thus ending taxpayers having to pay him enormous sums of money for holding a post many thought was unnecessary. In addition, ministerial salaries were also cut to placate the people's anger. 3. The PAP agreed to tighten immigration and add more buses to the public transport network. It also upped social spending and came up with measures like MediShield Life and the Pioneer Generation package. 4. PM Lee Hsien Loong even apologized to Singaporeans twice and pledged to do better. If we didn't get it right, he said, I'm sorry, but we will try better the next time. And finally, as I stated at the beginning, Mr. George Yeo, former minister who lost the seat, admitted that the PAP needed to change and treat citizens as human beings. Now, I hope you realize the significance of this statement. It is a damning admission by a PAP minister that his party has not been treating the people like human beings. Remember, all this apologizing, stepping down, cutting of salaries, calling for their party to change and to treat Singaporeans like human beings, all this took place when the PAP lost a few seats at the 2011 election. Now let's take a look at what happened after the GE in 2015 when the PAP's vote share went up to 70%. 1. Within the first few months after the elections, the PAP started to raise prices for a series of items, 16 in all, starting with car park rates going up by 27%. Now, this was followed by hikes of the water tax, town council fees, electricity and gas rates, school fees, bus and MRT fees, internet fees, and the list goes on and on. To cap it off, they arrogantly tell you that they are going to increase the GST to 9% after the next GE. Now, all these increases came despite Mr. Tharman promising us before the 2015 elections that whatever increased spending planned for the rest of this decade is sufficiently provided for by measures that the government had already undertaken. I repeat, had already undertaken. 2. Health Minister Gan Kim Yong remains in his post even after repeated debacles like the hepatitis C outbreak, which killed 8 patients and infected many more, the Zika explosion, the continued shortage of hospital beds, the breach in SingHealth's cybersecurity system, where 1.4 million patient records were stolen. Compare this to Wong Kan Seng, Raymond Lim, and Mao Baotan having to step down after 2011 when its percentage of votes came down. 3. After 2015, when you give PAP your votes, Mr. Goh Chok Tong said that the ministers are not paid enough. A young minister like Mr. Edwin Tong chimed in and said that his 50,000 a month salary is not sufficient. They didn't dare to say this after the results in the 2011 GE. 4. Remember when the PAP said it would reduce the flow of foreigners into the country after the 2011 elections? Now Mr. Heng Swee Keat wants to bring in more foreigners to increase our population to 10 million. Why? Because after the 2015 GE, when it got such a high vote share, the PAP feels that it can do as it pleases. 5. The government introduced MediShield Life and Pioneer Generation package after 2011. But after the 2015 elections, when you increased its vote percentage, it insisted that taxes will have to be increased to fund these programs. Do you see the pattern, my friends? When you give the PAP a high percentage of votes, it does as it pleases and doesn't treat you, as what Mr. George Yeo said, as human beings. The ministers make policies that benefit themselves rather than the citizens. Are you surprised? When you give someone a blank check, do you blame him for cashing it for the maximum amount? On the other hand, when you vote in more opposition MPs, the PAP listens to you and moderates its behavior and cuts back on its excesses. Don't take it from me. This is what the late Dr. Toh Chin Chai, the founding chairman of the PAP, said. When the PAP and the opposition were 26 to 25, the government was sensitive to issues and was circumspect. When you've got a strong opposition, there's consultation.